Hi again. Hi, everyone. As I said, my name is Frida, and I'm from the Pre-Sale and Partner Enablement team at Priority Software. Thank you for joining this webinar about the account and bank reconciliations. Sorry, I understand that you didn't hear nothing that I said, so I'm saying it again. Okay, so reconciliation process is an important part for every business, regardless of the size of the business, the type of the business, or the vertical in which it operates. Our plan for today is to talk about our new reconciliation areas and prepare you for the transition from using our old reconciliation worksheet to using our new reconciliation areas. Later, I will present a demo of how to work with these new reconciliation areas. And at the end of it, I will share with you some of our plans for the future versions. Through the webinar, you will have the opportunity to write questions in the questions box on your screen. In the end, I will dedicate a few minutes to answer questions that seems to have interested most of you. Just a second. In version 18.3, we launch our new reconciliation worksheets, the new reconciliation areas. Developing the new reconciliation areas is to provide our users with more comfortable, easy, and intuitive user experience. To date, the system enables each user to choose if he wants to work with the old worksheets or the new ones. We have decided that as of version 22.0, we will gradually transfer all of our customers to use their new reconciliation areas and stop supporting the old worksheets. The process will be gradual, so none of our customers will be surprised by the change. The first step is for our new customers who joined Priority with our latest version released last month, version 22.0. They won't see the old worksheets. Removing the old worksheets for the rest of the customers will happen after October 2022, from version 23 and up, meaning that everyone has enough time to prepare for this. In any case, we will be there for you during the process with everything necessary so that you will be ready for the change. Today's webinar aims to present how to work with the new reconciliation areas and to encourage all of our customers who don't use them yet to do so and enjoy the functionality invested in them and doesn't appear on the old worksheets. Now I will switch to Priority for the demo. What you can see here is my homepage on the web interface. If there are customers here who are still using the old Windows interface, you are more than welcome to advance to our web interface. This interface has many advantages, and the functionality you are using on the old Windows interface is still there. In addition, you should know that there are functionalities that are possible in the web interface only. For example, the new reconciliation areas that we focus on today. I will start with the account reconciliation, and later I will present bank reconciliations. The process of the account reconciliations contains several steps. First of all, most of the reconciliations are made automatically on the day-to-day work. When I type a receipt from a customer and link it to one or more invoices, at that point the system automatically creates reconciliation on the customer account. The exact process happens on the vendor side. When I'm preparing payment to the vendor based on one or several invoices, at that point the system automatically creates full or partial reconciliations on the vendor account as well. Of course, even with these automatically reconciliations, it is still necessary in some cases to make some of them manually. Let's discuss the steps of this process. The first step is to run the preparation program that sets the unreconciled entries and loads them to the new reconciliation area. The second step is to mark the debit and the credit lines that I want to reconcile, and this mark can be made automatically or manually. The last step is to confirm all the temporary reconciliations. So I will start by running the program, account reconciliation preparation, that I already set here on my home page. In this window, I need to choose the type of the account that I want to reconcile. Is it an account from the general ledger, or is it account from the account receivable or account payable? In our example, I'm choosing an account from the account receivable ledger. The next step is to choose the relevant account to reconcile. Please note that I can select more than one account to reconcile by selecting these checkboxes. The next parameter is recommendations. When I reconcile manually, I can ask the system to color me a recommendations. For example, I can ask to see just strong recommendations, as we can see here. In this way, the system will recommend the lines with the same data on the field's reference and amount. Or I can ask to get all kinds of recommendations, and then the system will recommend the lines that have the same amount regardless of their references. In this example, I'm choosing to get all kinds of recommendations. In addition, I can define how partial reconciliations will be sorted in the work area. I will choose that partial reconciliations appear above unreconciled entries, so I will remember to take care of them. This one. I'm moving to the next step where we enter the new reconciliation area. I can do it from the link that I received on this message here. And I can do it also from the menu or from my home page. I will click now on that. This is the new reconciliation work area. We can see that that is display divided to two. And for the reconciliation process, this form is more intuitive, comfortable, and easy to use than our old reconciliation worksheets. Let's understand what we see in this new form. On the left side, we can see the debit transactions, and on the right side, we can see the credit transactions. Okay, the credit transactions. At the top, we can see the account that I'm working on, this one that I choose. And if I selected on the preparation program several accounts, I can switch between them here. For each side of the form, we we see several columns, and of course we can design these columns. Okay, we can design these columns according to what I'm comfortable with. I can hide or change the order of the columns displayed using the design tool, which is activated from here and called Organize Form. You can see a tutorial about how you can design forms on our Priority Expert portal. I will start with a simple manual reconciliation. I will mark the invoice line on the debit side of £3,000. This one, using the checkbox. But before I do it, I want you to pay attention for two things. When I will mark the checkbox, the system assigned a temporary reconcile number to the line. And in addition, on the right side, we can see that the system will recommend me appropriate receipt lines by the amount. The line suggested by the system will be marked in blue and immediately moves to be the first line on the form. You will see that this one, okay, will be recommended. So I'm clicking here. And everything that I said happened. We can see that the variance field here at the top of the form shows me if there is a different debit amount and the credit amount. I will mark the line of the recommendations on the credit side, and you can see that because of the amounts are the same on both sides, and there isn't any variance, I can confirm the reconciliation. Okay, now we don't have variance. The result of the confirmation depends on predefined definitions. As in the example here, I can choose that clicking reconcile here, this is what I mean when I'm saying I confirm, okay, will create a temporary reconciliations, meaning that I still see the line in gray at the bottom of the form, and then it takes another step later to confirm it. This way is convenient if I want another stage of control the process. The other way is that when we click on the reconcile button, it will reconcile and remove it immediately from the form. The first option is the default in the system. In our demo, I set up so that the reconciliation remains temporary on the form, so I can edit it later if needed. Let's click on it and see it becomes gray and at the bottom of the form. When I finish to reconcile, I will click for the Finalize Reconciliations button. Sorry. So when I finish to reconcile, I will click on the Finalize Reconciliation button, which will cause all the reconciliations to disappear from the form. We did together a manual reconciliations now, and of course, I will always prefer automatic methods that save me time and benefit my work process. Using this button, Reconcile Automatically here, I can do automatic account reconciliation from the work area. Please note that the program can also be activated from the menu and for several accounts at once. Just a second. So I'm clicking on the Reconcile Automatically. Now I need to choose the recommend method for the reconciliation. I can select the reconciliation method from the defaults in the system, as we can see here, or I can define my own method. When the program ends, I see all temporary reconciliations and I can check them, make changes, or approve them. Let's click on it and see what the automatic reconcile did. And we can see we have 3. So the last step, I need to finalize the reconciliations. I won't do it now, but once I will do it, it will disappear from the surface. We have seen till now full reconciliation, which means when the amount is precisely the same for both sides. Sometimes it is necessary to make a partial reconciliations. For example, customer who paid part of his invoice. I want to do a partial reconciliation to know that he paid for this part of the invoice. In my example, there is an invoice for £7,000 here, and I match it to the right line that does not precisely match the amount, £5,000. I match it on the right side, I meant, okay, to the £5,000. And we can see that we have a variance of £2,000. And then I'm clicking on the reconcile partially. And now you can see that the system marks the lines as partial reconciliation. These lines immediately jump to the top of the form because this is how I defined it when I ran the preparation program at the beginning. I asked to see partial reconciliations at the top of the form so I won't forget to take care of them. I leave these partial reconciliations open in order to talk about another functionality we have here. Let's say that just right now, while I'm making the reconciliations, the customer has paid all the amount that was missing. And I want to see the receipt line on the reconciliation area and make a full reconciliation. So for the demo, I prepared the temporary receipt with a missing amount. I will currently switch to the receipt form and finalize the receipt. Just a second, I'm going back to my home page by clicking here and click on the receipt. This is the temporary receipt. I just finalize it. And going back, sorry. Going back to my reconcile work area. Okay, so now I can click on this, the refresh button here. And as a result, new lines recorded will be added and ready for reconciliation. Yes, this is our line. I need to switch to edit mode. Sorry, I'm going back to the partial reconciliation line in order to make it available to reconcile this one. So I need to switch to edit mode. That means that I need to click on the pencil, and now the line is back to black and active, as we can see here. Okay, sorry, it didn't happen. Yes, great. Now I will add the missing amount to the existing temporary reconciliation, and you will see that it received the same reconciliation number. Now there is no difference, and I can reconcile it. You see, there is any variance. At the end of this section, I want to enter the customer account for which we have made reconciliations and show you two relevant sub-level forms. Okay, so I'm going back to my home page and I have it here on the chart of the accounts. So this is our customers, and what I want you to see that we have two important sub-level forms. We have the unreconciled transactions that we saw and still see on our reconciliation areas, and we also have reconciled transactions that I already did. So once I will reconcile everything on that reconcile area, it will be here when we can see the account reconciliation number that was given, the final one. Okay. Now I'm going to switch to the bank reconciliation now. In this case, I guess I already have lines on the bank statements that were recorded or uploaded into the system. So I'm running the program to prepare data for the reconciliation area. Let's do it together. I put it here also on my own page. Here I can choose the bank account. This is the bank that we want to focus on. I can set transactions displayed on the work area by the field. Sorry, I forgot something to show you. I'm doing it again. Okay, so I choose the bank account and then I have this field to date. I can set transactions displayed on the work area by the field to date. So in our case, I gave a date till the end of the month. I'm clicking OK, and I can also choose some of the transactions code defined in the system. In that case, I'll pick them all. That's why you can see here a star. Like on the account reconciliation, I can ask the system for recommendations. In this case, I will choose to see only strong recommendations. That means here, the field reference, okay, and amount will be matched. At the end of the preparation, I click on the link of the message to enter the form here. You see, the bank and the account reconciliations area are the same on their visibility and how they work. The difference between them is the essence of the reconciliations. In the account reconciliation, I reconcile the debit and the credit side of the specific account. And in bank reconciliations, I reconcile what happens in the bank accounts, in the books, compared to what happens in the bank account. The goal is to make sure that everything that happens at the bank does happen on the books and vice versa. I see the transaction from the ledger on the left side here. This is the transaction from the ledger. And on the right side, I can see all the transactions that came from the bank statement. As we've seen before, even here in the bank reconciliation, it is possible to make reconciliation manually or automatically in the same way between both sides. For example, on the left side under the header ledger, I will mark the payment line to the vendor, £7,000. This one. I can see on the right side that the system recommends an appropriate line with the same amount and reference by painting it in blue and placing it at the top of the form. You can see this is the same reference, okay, reference 2 compared to reference 1, and this is why, oh, sorry, I didn't see that it didn't click on it, okay. I still have a variance, that's why I'm clicking at this line also. Please note that there is another bank line with the same amount that the system did not recommend since its reference does not correspond to a reference in the line of the ledger side. I mean this one. You see, there is another reference here. This happens according to the definition I made in the preparation program. Now I already marked the recommend line and click on the reconcile button. Okay, here, just like the account area, it turned the line to gray, which means it's a temporary reconciliation and it's now waiting at the bottom of the page until I will finish all my reconciliations and I can confirm them all together using the finalize button here. The next thing that I want to show you is one-sided multi-reconciliation, which is relevant when lines on the bank statement do not appear on the ledger, such as bank fee charges, management fees, etc. If I want to write these transactions on the ledger at once, I mark all the lines and the system assigns all those lines the same temporary reconciliation number. Let's see it. Okay. First of all, you should know that it acts like any other screen in priority, any other form in priority. So I can just switch to search mode and say, okay, I want all the lines with the details fees. Click on them and see that I have just 2 lines. Okay, so I'm saying I want to choose them, and also I want to reconcile. So when I click on the reconcile button, the system opens a window to complete the settings. This happens because I have a variance here. Because I have a variance, I marked a few lines on the bank side and I didn't mark anything on the side of the ledger, meaning that I have a gap. This setting windows allows me to define what the reconciliation transaction will look like. I can here determine if I want just one journal entry will be recorded for all the bank lines, or if I want to separate journal entry for each bank line. I've chosen in our example the separate option, this one per line. I can see that it opened another window. Here I can set the transaction date. You can see the transaction date, the due date, the reference, and the details. Let's write here bank fees, okay, and the account number should be, let's take the bank charges. If I choose a separate journal entry for each bank line, then what I write here on the settings form will be taken to each of the reconciled journals entry that will be recorded. The data will be taken from the bank page line for the rest of the fields, the other ones that I left empty. So I'm clicking on OK. Just checking if I have anything else to say here. Oh, yeah, I wanted to say another thing before I forget. Please note that one of the innovations compared to the old worksheet is that the setting form that we look at it now is a form for everything, so that you can turn all the capabilities of priority form, such as automation, form design, and more. I choose the transfer account here as we saw, and I already written the details. So I leave the rest of the fields empty, and I'm authorizing to continue. Okay, after I finish reconcile all the lines in my work area, I click on finalize reconciliation to confirm all temporary reconcile on the worksheet. Let's do it together. Great. Great, it disappeared from the form. Let's take a look at the journal transaction created for the one-sided multi-reconciliation we made. I will go to the bank statement form, just a second. I already put it on the home page. It will be easier. Okay. And check the relevant page line. This is the page line. And we can see we have some reconciliation numbers here. I can run the report. This is a new report added in version 22.0, the last one, the last release. And you can find it here. It's called Reconciliation Details. And when I click on it, you should know that the ability, just a second, here, display. This is a report that was added in version 22.0, as I said, and enables me to see the reconciliation details directly from the bank statement. Just a second, something happened, it stopped. Okay, great. This is the account fee. This is one of the reconcile adjustment that I did before. So this is the amount, and we can see the journal entries that happened because of it. And you should be familiar with this new report. The last thing that I want to tell you, you should know that the ability to automatically record journal entries for lines that appear only in the bank is not new. We have a program which already exists quite few backward versions in the name of record bound transaction in the ledger. I want to show you this. You can see it here, financials, on the nominal ledger, could be on the reconciliations and on the bank reconciliation. I'm talking about this one, record bound transactions in ledger. This program goes through bank statements, identifying lines that has transaction codes and records transactions in the ledger according to predefined one-time definitions. I just want you to know that these options also exist and very helpful on the day-to-day job. In addition, it is possible to cancel final reconciliations. There is a dedicated program for this. Running the program will cancel the reconciliations and open the lines back so they can be reconciled again if needed. You can also, as a report that's showing the canceled reconciliation. There are several reports in the system, such as I told you, canceled reconciliation, reconciliation by date, by number, and more. And that's it for the demo. I'll be back now for the presentation. Let's go back here. Okay. Now I want to share with you some of our plans for the following versions. We continue to invest in improving the user experience of working on the new reconciliation area. We also do it by listening to you through meetings with customers and through your inquiries that we received in service call. Some of the planned improvements are, for example, removing the limit on the fields that can be displayed on the reconciliation area using a scroll bar, and adding new buttons that will make it easier to select multiple lines on each side. And of course, we have further improvements in our plans. In conclusion, we saw the various stages of account and bank reconciliations using the new reconciliation area. As already mentioned, the old worksheets will become gradually inactive, and therefore it is highly recommended to start getting used to working with the new ones already. I'm sure you'll soon see that working in the reconciliation area is more comfortable and efficient. I'm going to check your questions now and answer some of them. Okay, the first question, is it possible to make a partial reconciliation on the account reconciliation area as you have shown in the bank reconciliation? Sure it's possible. I've shown some of the capabilities on the account reconciliation area and some of them on the bank reconciliation area, but it's the same form with the same capabilities. The next question is it possible to select which field will be displayed on each side of the area? Okay, so first of all, yes, you can design fields on the form, but please note that currently only up to 4 columns can be displayed on each side of the form. And as I mentioned just a minute ago, in the future edition, we are working on removing the 4 columns limit in order to have a scroll bar with all the relevant fields. Okay, this is about it for the questions that are relevant to everyone. We'll answer individually to anyone who has asked a question that I have not answered here. Thank you so much for participating in this webinar. I hope you've learned something new, and see you in the next webinar.